The quantum detection array hummed softly in the dimly lit laboratory, its holographic displays casting a gentle blue glow across Dr. Isabella Santos' face. The clock on the wall showed 3:47 a.m., but she hadn't noticed the time. Her eyes were fixed on an anomalous pattern emerging in the data stream, a pattern that shouldn't exist according to conventional wisdom about humanity's technological capabilities. "System, replay that sequence," she commanded, her fingers dancing across the haptic interface. The holographic display shimmered, reconstructing the intercepted transmission in three-dimensional space before her. The message was crystal clear, despite originating from over 300 light-years away. The council members' voices, translated through quantum algorithmic matrices, filled her laboratory. The Sol system remains classified as Development Category 3, announced High Counselor Zextar of the Arcturian Empire. Their primitive attempts at faster-than-light travel have yielded no results. They still rely on chemical propulsion for most of their space exploration. Isabella's hand tightened into a fist. If only they knew about the quantum fold drives being tested in the Kuiper Belt or the antimatter containment facilities hidden beneath the Pacific Ocean. "I propose," continued Zextar, "that we designate Earth as a testing ground for our experimental technologies. Their system is isolated enough that any unfortunate accidents would not affect neighboring civilizations." The quantum feed captured the murmurs of agreement from other council members. Isabella's heart raced as she initiated the emergency protocol, her fingers flying across the haptic interface with practiced precision. Within seconds, the transmission was being routed to the UN Special Operations Command. Admiral Chen Weiming's holographic figure materialized in the laboratory moments later. Despite the early hour, he appeared alert and composed. "Report, Dr. Santos." "Sir, the Council has just voted to use Earth as a testing ground for experimental technology." She transmitted the full data packet to his secure quantum receiver. "They believe we're decades away from detecting their communications." A slight smile crossed the Admiral's face. "Their arrogance continues to work in our favor. How long have you been monitoring this particular session?" 3 hours, sir. They've discussed various matters, but this is the first direct mention of Earth." Isabella pulled up additional data streams. "Based on the quantum signature patterns, I estimate they're broadcasting from the Arcturian capital world." Admiral Chen nodded, his holographic form pacing the laboratory. "Excellent work. We've suspected they might make a move like this, but now we have confirmation." He paused, studying the replaying transmission. "What's the status of Project Starwaver?" "The quantum entanglement network is operating at 97% efficiency," Isabella reported, bringing up a new holographic display showing a web of connections spanning the solar system. "We can detect and decode their transmissions across a radius of approximately 400 light-years." "Perfect. Continue monitoring but maintain emissions control protocols. Let them think their communications are still beyond our reach." The Admiral's expression hardened. "We've spent years preparing for this moment. Now it's time to show the Council that humanity isn't the primitive species they believe us to be." Isabella nodded, already adjusting the quantum array's parameters to capture any follow-up transmissions. As Admiral Chen's hologram faded, she couldn't help but smile. The Council races, for all their advanced technology, had fallen into the oldest trap in history, underestimating their opponent. In the coming days, humanity would begin implementing the plans they'd spent years developing. The Council thought they were dealing with a primitive species barely capable of reaching their own moon. Instead, they were about to face a civilization that had turned their own arrogance into a weapon against them. Dr. Santos turned back to her monitors, ready to capture every transmission, every piece of data that would help Earth prepare its response. The Council had just made their first move. Humanity's countermove would leave them reeling. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Miguel Rodriguez stood before a wall of monitors displaying the status of Earth's most advanced antimatter containment facility. The massive underwater complex, disguised as a deep-sea mining operation, hummed with barely contained power. Streams of data flowed across his neural interface, confirming that the latest antimatter synthesis run had achieved unprecedented stability. Containment field efficiency at 99.8%, announced his assistant, Dr. Lin Zhao, her hands moving gracefully through the holographic control interface. The Council's sensors won't detect anything beyond standard geothermal signatures. Miguel nodded, satisfaction evident in his tired eyes. They'd spent 5 years perfecting the magnetic containment fields, carefully masking the energy signatures to mimic natural oceanic phenomena. The Council's regular survey satellites passed overhead, blissfully unaware of the revolutionary technology being developed beneath the waves. His neural interface pinged with an incoming priority message. Commander Sakura Tanaka's hologram materialized beside him, her military uniform bearing the insignia of the United Earth Defense Forces stealth fleet. Doctor, we've completed integration of the new antimatter drives into the Phantom-class vessels, she reported, her expression serious but excited. Initial tests show power output exceeding our most optimistic projections. Miguel brought up the test data on his neural display. Impressive. How's the signature masking holding up? Perfect, Sakura replied with a slight smile. We ran a full power test right under the nose of a Council survey ship. Their sensors registered nothing but normal ocean currents. A soft chime interrupted their conversation as another figure joined the holographic conference. Admiral Chen's avatar appeared, his presence commanding immediate attention. The Council has made their move, he announced without preamble. Dr. Santos intercepted their decision to use Earth as a testing ground. We're initiating Phase 2 of Operation Starwaver. Miguel exchanged glances with Lin and Sakura. They'd prepared for this moment, but the reality of it still sent a surge of adrenaline through his system. The antimatter production facilities are ready, he reported. We can begin full-scale manufacturing whenever needed. Sakura nodded in agreement. The stealth fleet is positioned and prepared. 30 vessels, each capable of outmatching anything in the Council's navy, all hidden in plain sight. Excellent. Admiral Chen's hologram paced the command center. The Council believes we're still struggling with basic fusion technology. Their arrogance will be their undoing. Miguel pulled up the latest simulation data. We've also completed development of the quantum full drive stealth protocols. The Council won't detect our ships until it's far too late. Begin full production immediately, ordered Chen. Commander Tanaka, coordinate with Dr. Rodriguez to outfit the remaining vessels. The Council expects a primitive civilization barely capable of reaching Mars. Instead, they'll face a fleet that can strike anywhere in their territory without warning. As the meeting concluded and the holograms faded, Miguel turned to Lin. Initialize the primary antimatter streams. It's time to show the galaxy what human innovation can achieve. The underwater facility came alive with renewed energy. Beneath the waves, hidden from prying eyes, humanity's revenge was taking shape. The Council's sophisticated surveillance networks continued their regular sweeps, their sensors detecting nothing unusual about the Earth's activities. Little did they know that their every transmission, their every secure communication had been intercepted and analyzed for years. Humanity had turned their technological superiority into a blueprint for its own advancement, quietly building weapons and defenses specifically designed to counter the Council's greatest strengths. The stage was set. While the Council planned their experiments, humanity was preparing a demonstration of technological prowess that would shake the foundations of galactic society. The next phase would show them exactly how far humanity had come and how badly they had underestimated Earth's capabilities. Director Jin-Ho Park stood before the crystalline quantum mainframe in the heart of Seoul's underground cyber command center. Holographic displays surrounded him, showing real-time data flows from across the galaxy. Each stream represented billions of financial transactions, the lifeblood of the Council's economic empire. Final systems check complete, reported Lieutenant Maya Patel, her fingers dancing through neural interface projections. Quantum encryption breakers are primed and synchronized. Jinho allowed himself a small smile. For 3 years, they had monitored the Council's supposedly unbreakable financial networks, mapping every vulnerability, every hidden backdoor. The Council's arrogance had led them to believe their quantum encryption was beyond human comprehension. They were about to learn otherwise. "Status report from all teams," he commanded, his voice steady despite the tension in the air. "Team Alpha ready," Maya responded, targeting the Arcturian Central Exchange. "Team Beta in position," called out Captain Luis Mendoza from his station. "Primary focus on the Zentaran Mercantile Network." "Team Gamma prepared," confirmed Dr. Sarah Chen. "The Council's unified banking system is in our sights." Jinho checked the chronometer. They had synchronized their attack to coincide with peak trading hours across all major Council worlds. "Initialize Operation Digital Hurricane. Execute on my mark." The room hummed with anticipation as final preparations were made. Through their quantum listening posts, they could hear the normal chatter of Council financial networks, completely unaware of what was about to happen. Mark. A cascade of commands flowed through their systems. The quantum mainframe pulsed with energy as it launched thousands of simultaneous attacks. On screens across the command center, they watched as their carefully crafted digital weapons slipped through the Council's defenses. Arcturian exchange penetrated, Maya reported, her voice tight with concentration. "Implementing trading algorithm disruption now." Across the galaxy, the first signs of chaos began to appear. Council trading systems started generating impossible orders, creating phantom transactions that rippled through their economy. Artificial intelligence trading programs, the backbone of their financial system, began to malfunction in subtle but devastating ways. "Sir, detecting emergency protocols being initiated by Council cybersecurity," Luz called out. "They're attempting to isolate the affected systems." Jinho nodded. They had anticipated this. "Deploy secondary attack vectors. Let's show them what human ingenuity can really do." New waves of quantum-encrypted commands flooded the Council's networks. Backup systems, supposedly isolated from external access, found themselves compromised. Centuries of accumulated wealth began to disappear into digital black holes, carefully designed to leave no trace of their Earth-based origin. Council emergency response teams are being mobilized, Dr. Chen reported, monitoring the quantum communications. They're in complete disarray. They can't understand how their security was breached. On the main display, they watched as panic spread across Council space. Stock markets crashed. Trading platforms shut down. Interstellar commerce ground to a halt. The Council's carefully manufactured image of technological superiority was crumbling. "Sir," Maya called out, her voice filled with barely contained excitement. "Intercepting emergency communication from the Arcturian Central Bank. They're requesting immediate assistance from all Council races. Their entire financial infrastructure is collapsing." Jinho watched the chaos unfold with calculated satisfaction. "Begin Phase 2 of the operation. Target their backup data centers. Leave no path for recovery." As his teams worked, he thought about the Council's dismissive attitude toward Earth. They had believed humans to be primitive, incapable of understanding their advanced systems. Instead, humanity had turned their own technology against them, using their pride as a weapon. "Send the signal to Admiral Chen," he ordered. "Operation Digital Hurricane is successful. The economic foundation of the Council has been shattered. They're ready for Phase 3. The quantum mainframe pulsed steadily, continuing its relentless assault on the Council's financial systems. The first strike in humanity's revenge had been delivered, and not a single shot had been fired. The galaxy was about to learn that technological superiority wasn't just about raw power. It was about how cleverly you could use it. Dr. Carmen Ortiz stood in her private laboratory aboard the stealth vessel Shadow of Dawn, making final adjustments to her presentation. The ship hung silently in space, cloaked and undetectable, just outside the Council's central meeting chamber on Centauri Prime. Through the quantum feed, she could hear the Council members arguing about the devastating financial attack that had crippled their economies. "Final checks complete," reported Lieutenant James Chen from his station. "Quantum projection systems are at full power. We can broadcast to every Council world simultaneously." Carmen nodded, her neural interface displaying the status of their wormhole stabilization field. "Perfect. Admiral Chen, we're ready to proceed with the demonstration." The Admiral's hologram materialized beside her. "Excellent. The Council is in complete disarray after Operation Digital Hurricane. Now it's time to show them exactly what humanity has achieved." In the Council chamber, High Counselor Zextar was attempting to maintain order. "We must identify the source of these attacks. Our best cyber defense systems have failed." Carmen activated the quantum projection system. Her hologram appeared in the center of the Council chamber, causing gasps of surprise and shock from the assembled aliens. The projection was perfect, showing her as clearly as if she stood there in person. "Greetings, esteemed Council members," she began, her voice calm and measured. "I am Dr. Carmen Ortiz of Earth. We believe it's time for a proper demonstration of human technological capabilities." "Impossible," Zextar sputtered. "Earth lacks the technology for quantum holographic projection. Their most advanced communications are still limited to radio waves." Carmen smiled. With a gesture, she brought up a holographic display showing the shadow of Dawn's current position. "You've labored under many misconceptions about Earth. Allow me to correct them." She initiated the first demonstration. A stable micro-wormhole opened in the center of the Council chamber, its swirling vortex contained within a perfectly controlled electromagnetic field. Through her neural interface, she could see the Council members' biosignatures spike with alarm. "This is a stable Einstein-Rosen bridge," she explained, as if giving a routine lecture. "We achieved reliable wormhole creation 3 years ago. Of course, we made sure all energy signatures were masked to appear as natural phenomena." The Council's scientific advisor, Dr. Tazar, moved forward to examine the wormhole. His instruments confirmed what seemed impossible. Humans had mastered technology that had eluded the Council races for centuries. "But that's not all," Carmen continued. She gestured again, and multiple holographic screens appeared, showing Earth's hidden technological achievements. Antimatter containment at 99.8% efficiency. Consciousness transfer between organic and quantum substrates. Gravity manipulation at the quantum level. She paused, letting the implications sink in. "Everything you thought you knew about Earth's technological level was wrong. We let you believe we were primitive. We encouraged that belief. Every time your survey ships passed through our system, we showed them exactly what they expected to see." The Council chamber erupted in chaos. Species that had thought themselves centuries ahead of humanity were suddenly confronted with evidence that they had been thoroughly outmaneuvered. "This is merely the beginning," Carmen announced, her voice cutting through the disorder. "The financial systems we disrupted. Consider that a small demonstration of our capabilities. We've spent years studying your technology, your weaknesses, your dependencies on each other." She straightened, her hologram somehow seeming to tower over the Council members. "You plan to use Earth as a testing ground for dangerous experiments. Instead, you'll find that humanity has been conducting an experiment of our own, seeing how long we could maintain the illusion of primitiveness while surpassing your greatest achievements." Through her neural interface, Carmen could sense the impact of her words. The Council's carefully constructed hierarchy of technological superiority was crumbling before their eyes, and they hadn't even seen the military capabilities waiting in the wings. Colonel Ryu Hayashi stood on the bridge of the Phantom Eclipse, his flagship cloaked in the perfect invisibility of Dr. Li Wei's metamaterial technology. Around him, holographic displays showed the positions of 30 identical stealth vessels, each positioned near a major Council shipyard. The Council's most advanced sensor networks remained blind to their presence. "All ships report ready, Colonel," Lieutenant Maria Ramirez announced from her tactical station. Wormhole targeting systems are locked on critical ship components. Ryu nodded, his neural interface processing real-time data from every vessel in the fleet. Status of Council military response. They're scrambling everything they have, Maria replied, a hint of amusement in her voice. After Dr. Ortiz's demonstration, they're attempting to mobilize their entire fleet. Currently at 30% deployment. Through the quantum feed, Admiral Chen's voice came through with perfect clarity. Begin Operation Silent Strike. Remember, precision is paramount. We demonstrate our superiority without taking a single life. Ryu straightened in his command chair. Acknowledged. All ships execute primary targeting sequence. Across Council space, dozens of micro-wormholes winked into existence. Each one had been precisely calculated to remove specific components from the Council's most advanced warships. Bridge crews watched in horror as their quantum drive cores, weapons systems, and navigation computers simply vanished, transported into the void between galaxies. First wave successful, reported Commander Kenji Sato from his engineering station. 27 capital ships disabled. No casualties. No secondary damage. On the main display, Ryu watched as the Council's mighty warships drifted helplessly. Their crews were unharmed, but their vessels had been transformed into floating museums, beautiful but utterly useless. Second wave targeting solutions confirmed, Maria announced. Council Admiralty is attempting to coordinate a defense, but they can't detect our position. Execute second wave, Ryu ordered calmly. More wormholes blossomed across space. This time, they targeted the Council's automated defense networks. Satellite weapons, automated response systems, and defensive matrices found themselves suddenly missing crucial components. Again, no explosions, no destruction, just precise surgical removal of key technologies. Sir, Kenji called out, intercepting interesting communications from the Council Military Command. They're trying to figure out how we're selecting targets. They don't understand how we know exactly which components to remove. Ryu allowed himself a small smile. They still don't realize we've been studying their technology for years. Every transmission they sent, every secure specification they transmitted, we captured it all. Through the quantum feed, they could hear the panic spreading through Council military channels. Ships that had been considered invincible were now floating helplessly in space. Defense systems that had protected their worlds for centuries were now little more than orbital debris. Final wave targeting solutions ready, Maria reported. Targeting their emergency response vessels and backup military facilities. Execute, Ryu commanded. Let's complete this symphony. The third wave of wormholes appeared, this time targeting the Council's last line of defense. Within minutes, their entire military infrastructure had been effectively neutralized, all without firing a single conventional weapon. Operation Silent Strike complete, Ryu reported to Admiral Chen. Council military capability has been reduced to pre-space flight levels. No casualties. No collateral damage. Excellent work, Colonel, Chen replied. Maintain position but keep the fleet cloaked. Let them wonder where we might strike next. As the Council's leaders faced the reality of their situation, Ryu thought about the poetry of their response. The Council had thought to use Earth as a testing ground. Instead, humanity had turned their entire territory into a demonstration of exactly how far they had surpassed their would-be oppressors. The next move would be diplomatic, but now the Council would negotiate from a position of complete military vulnerability. Humanity had proven they could strike anywhere, at any time, with perfect precision. The galaxy would never be the same. Ambassador Sophia Chen walked through the crystalline corridors of the Council's central chamber, her footsteps echoing in the unnatural silence. The usual bustle of alien diplomats and their attendants was absent, replaced by a tense stillness. Behind her, a small delegation of Earth's representatives followed, each carrying quantum tablets containing evidence of centuries of Council interference. They're ready for us, Lieutenant Marco Santos whispered through their neural link. He was monitoring the quantum feeds from his position aboard the cloaked vessel Shadow of Dawn. Bio readings show extreme stress among all council members. Sophia acknowledged with a subtle gesture. Her own neural implants were processing real-time data, analyzing the emotional states of every species present. The council chamber doors opened automatically, revealing the assembled representatives of the galaxy's supposedly most advanced civilizations. High Counselor Zexstar spoke first, his voice lacking its usual imperious tone. Ambassador Chen, the Council recognizes Earth's significant technological achievements. We are prepared to discuss terms. Sophia stepped forward, her movements measured and deliberate. The holographic displays around the chamber activated, showing real-time footage of disabled Council warships drifting in space, collapsed financial networks, and compromised defense systems. Honored Council members, she began, her voice carrying easily through the vast chamber. Earth does not come seeking terms. We come offering a choice. Dr. Natasha Park, Earth's chief xenoarchaeologist, stepped forward with her quantum tablet. For 3 centuries, we monitored your communications. We witnessed your interference with developing civilizations. The experiments you conducted, the species you manipulated, the cultures you destroyed, all in the name of maintaining your technological superiority. The displays shifted, showing evidence of Council operations across the galaxy. Sophia could see the shock on alien faces as their secret activities were exposed one by one. Impossible, protested Council member Krill. These records were quantum encrypted, stored in isolated systems. Nothing is impossible for those you underestimate, Sophia interrupted smoothly. While you believed we were struggling with basic spaceflight, we were analyzing your every transmission, your every decision, your every secret. She gestured, and new images appeared, countless worlds where Council interference had stunted natural development, where promising civilizations had been deliberately held back or destroyed. Your choice is simple, Sophia continued. Option 1. Immediate reform. New protocols for interaction with developing civilizations. Complete transparency in technological development. Equal representation for all spacefaring species. The Council chamber erupted in murmurs as she paused. Through her neural link, she could hear the encrypted communications flying between Council members, their panic barely contained. And option 2? Zexstar asked, his voice barely steady. Sophia's expression remained neutral. Earth assumes control of the Council. Those who resist will find their worlds cut off from interstellar travel, their technologies disabled, their economies isolated. We have demonstrated our capability to do this at will. This is extortion, shouted one of the minor Council members. No, Sophia corrected calmly. This is consequence. You plan to use our world as a testing ground for dangerous experiments. Instead, we used your own arrogance against you. Every time you dismissed us as primitive, we advanced further. Every secret you thought safely encrypted became our learning tool. She stepped forward, her presence somehow filling the massive chamber. Earth could have chosen destruction. We could have used your technologies to demolish your civilizations. Instead, we offer reformation. The choice is yours. Through her neural interface, Sophia received confirmation that the message was being broadcast to every Council world, every colony, every outpost. The galaxy was watching. You have one standard rotation to decide, she announced. Choose wisely. The future of galactic civilization hangs in the balance. As silence fell over the chamber, Sophia allowed herself a small smile. The Council's era of unchecked power was ending. A new age of genuine cooperation and advancement was about to begin, whether they liked it or not. Dr. Marco Hidalgo stood before the assembled representatives of 50 former Council worlds in the newly established Galactic Academy of Sciences in Singapore. The massive auditorium, built with a combination of Earth and alien technologies, hummed with anticipation. Through his neural interface, he could sense the excitement and curiosity radiating from the diverse crowd. The fundamental flaw in Council technological development, he began, holographic displays materializing around him, was hyperspecialization. Each race focused on perfecting a single field, becoming dependent on others for everything else. The displays showed the intricate web of dependencies that had bound the council races together, and ultimately led to their downfall. A Zentaran scientist raised her hand, her crystalline features catching the light. "But how did Earth avoid this trap?" she asked. "Our records show your development should have followed a similar pattern." Marco smiled, bringing up new holographic models. "We chose a different path. Lieutenant Sarah Wong, would you demonstrate our approach?" Sarah stepped forward, her quantum interface linking with the presentation system. Around the auditorium, hundreds of miniature holograms appeared, each showing a different Earth laboratory or research facility. "Instead of pursuing narrow specialization," she explained, "we developed cross-disciplinary teams. Quantum physicists worked alongside biologists. Computer scientists collaborated with psychologists. Every breakthrough in one field was immediately applied to others." The displays shifted, showing how Earth had adapted and combined various council technologies. Dr. Raj Patel, head of the Quantum Integration Division, took over the explanation. "When we intercepted council communications about antimatter containment, we didn't just copy the technology," he said. "We combined it with our understanding of quantum fields, creating hybrid systems more advanced than anything the council had achieved." Through the quantum feed, they could sense the ripple of astonishment passing through the audience. The idea of such comprehensive technological integration was revolutionary to species that had spent millennia focusing on single fields. "But the most crucial element," Marco continued, "was our decision to maintain technological breadth rather than depth. While the council races became increasingly dependent on each other, Earth remained self-sufficient, capable of producing everything from basic materials to advanced quantum systems." Professor Lin Chen from the Quantum Computing Division brought up data showing the rapid adoption of Earth's methods across former council space. "Already, we're seeing unprecedented advancement as species begin collaborating in new ways. The old barriers are falling." The audience watched in fascination as real-time data showed the transformation spreading across the galaxy. Former council worlds were dismantling their rigid specialization programs, establishing cross-disciplinary research centers modeled after Earth's approach. "The future of galactic civilization," Marco declared, "lies not in isolation and specialization, but in cooperation and integration." Earth's revenge wasn't just about demonstrating our power, it was about showing a better way forward. Through their neural interfaces, they could sense the change in attitude among the assembled scientists. The initial fear and resentment toward Earth was being replaced by genuine enthusiasm for this new approach to advancement. Dr. Isabella Santos, who had first detected the Council's fatal decision, appeared via hologram from her quantum laboratory. "We've established joint research programs with 30 former Council worlds. The breakthrough rate has increased by 400% in just 3 months." The implications were clear. The Council's fall had unleashed a wave of innovation across the galaxy. Species that had been locked into rigid roles for millennia were suddenly free to explore new directions, to combine technologies in ways never before imagined. Marco looked out over the assembled representatives, seeing hope and excitement where there had once been arrogance and fear. Earth's revenge had done more than just humble the Council. It had revolutionary galactic civilization itself. The age of artificial limitations and enforced specialization was over. A new era of unlimited potential was just beginning. Young diplomat Yuki Nakamura stood at the window of her office in the newly constructed Galactic Cooperative headquarters in Singapore, watching ships from 100 different worlds moving through the evening sky. Each vessel represented a former council race, now part of Earth's growing alliance of equals. Her quantum interface pinged with an incoming priority message. "Ambassador Nakamura," her assistant's voice chimed. "The Arcturian delegation has arrived for the historical review session." Yuki straightened her uniform and turned to face the chamber. The massive holographic display came to life, showing the assembled representatives from across the galaxy. Among them sat former High Counselor Zexstar, now serving as a regular delegate like all others. "Welcome to Earth," she began, her voice carrying the quiet confidence that had become humanity's hallmark. "Today marks one standard galactic year since the reformation. We're here to understand not just what happened, but how it changed us all." Dr. Miguel Rodriguez, now head of the Combined Sciences Division, activated the historical projection system. The chamber filled with images from the past decade, Earth's hidden technological development, the Council's fatal underestimation, and the swift sequence of events that had transformed galactic society. The Council's greatest mistake, Yuki continued, wasn't their plan to use Earth as a testing ground. It was their assumption that technological advancement could only follow one path, their path. The displays shifted, showing the earliest intercepted Council transmissions. Lieutenant Hiro Tanaka, head of the Quantum Intelligence Division, stepped forward. "Each transmission you sent," he explained, "each encrypted message, each technical specification became our template for advancement. We didn't just copy your technology. We studied how you thought, how you developed, how you innovated." The Arcturian representatives shifted uncomfortably as footage played of their former military might, now transformed into research vessels and exploration ships. Through her neural interface, Yuki could sense their mix of embarrassment and grudging admiration. Earth's greatest achievement, Dr. Carmen Ortiz added via quantum projection, wasn't surpassing Council technology. It was understanding that true advancement comes from synthesis, not separation, from combining knowledge, not hoarding it. The chamber erupted in discussions as new data appeared, showing the unprecedented rate of technological progress since the reformation. Species that had once been locked into rigid roles were now collaborating freely, creating innovations that would have been impossible under the old system. "But there's one more truth you should know," Yuki announced, bringing the room to silence. "Earth knew about the Council's intentions long before that fatal meeting. We had detected your surveillance centuries ago. Everything, our apparent primitive state, our seemingly slow development, was carefully crafted to encourage your underestimation." The shock in the room was palpable. Even former Council members who thought they understood Earth's deception were stunned by its depth and duration. "We could have revealed ourselves at any time," she continued. "But we waited, gathering knowledge, preparing responses to every possible scenario. When you finally made your move, we had already planned our response years in advance." Through the quantum feed, Yuki could sense the impact of this revelation rippling across the galaxy. The Council hadn't just been outmaneuvered, they had been part of a strategy centuries in the making. "Today, we step fully into a new era," she concluded, "not as conquerors or conquered, but as equals." Earth's revenge wasn't just about demonstrating power. It was about breaking the cycle of domination and fear that had held our galaxy back for millennia. As the assembled representatives digested this final revelation, Yuki looked out at the evening sky again. The stars seemed brighter somehow, full of new possibilities. The age of artificial hierarchies and enforced specialization was over. Together, they would discover what a truly united galaxy could achieve. The Council's plan to use Earth as a testing ground had indeed changed the galaxy forever, just not in the way they had intended.